lock Sarah in the box because of what she did. At Matthew's house, he discovers that the electrical wires are not real because there is no electrical conduction inside the plastic itself. Suddenly, Jade enters Matthew's house with a radio and a large group of luck and asks him to help him. While repairing the radio, they collected things from Jade's car to help them in the repair, but they discover that the car's battery is missing. After they repair the radio, they choose a tall tree to put the radio on and it receives a signal. But it turns out that Jade has a phobia of heights. It will be better that Matthew goes to his place and brings a rope. Suddenly, he sees blood coming down from the tree. He finds it on its branches and a large number of corpses hanging from the tree and bleeding. He sees the same symbol that he saw on the helmet drawn on the wall. Suddenly, he hears the sound of a gun, and Bella sees a person wearing a military uniform and his bonnet is towards him. Jade runs away but gets injured and the soldier stabs him in the chest with a knife. Jade screams from the pen and Maso comes quickly. Bella is lying on the ground and there is nothing on his body. He threatens him and tells him that whatever he saw and felt is not real. At the time, the mayor goes to the clinic to talk to Christy and thinks about what Mr. Lowe would look like if he was dead. Christy comes down from the upper floor and greets him. The mayor asks her about Kenny's psychological state after his father's death. It appears that Christy and Kenny are engaged, so Christy tells him that he is trying to be the person that the people around him need. The mayor knows that his time is near and wants to know that the mayoral position will be with the right person. In the church basement, Sarah tells the story about the voices she hears, which seem to warn of something bad that will happen, or that she is waiting for. She says that they are the voices of people imprisoned like her and are trying to call on her for help. Sarah seems to hear their words and breathe their orders to save them. She also tells him that these voices foretell that 2 cars will arrive in the city and that this really happened. The priest does not believe it and tries to find an explanation for what is happening and feels Sarah is crazy, and suddenly Sarah screams and says no to him as if she saw something bad happening. And then she asks the cat for a piece of paper and tells him that the voices want to send him a message. And in Matthew's house, she is thinking of broadcasting an idea that can get her out of the city, and she thinks that she will follow the electric wires that will be coming from outside the city, and she goes down the tunnel and digs in it to reach the wires. At that time, Matthew is trying to pick up signals from the radio and takes Jade to Mrs. Lowe's house and tells her what happened. So Mrs. Lowe's house is in very old boxes and shows her a picture of the symbol that she saw somewhere else. The mayor tries to talk to Kenny, but Kenny is sad and unable to speak, so White rushes the mayor to confess to him that he is sick and that he will die soon, and that he wants to be ready to take his place at any time. And in the forest, Matthew is unable to reach the signals and returns home, and there he finds his broadcast in the basement of the house looking for solo electricity. Suddenly asks him if he remembers the war he made for her from his shoelace. Matthew scratches his face and tells her that he lost it on the day Julie was born. He takes advantage of the fact that she still remembers him, so she gives him the bracelet that she found in a store where the belongings of dead people are stored. Matthew scratches his face and tells her that it is definitely a lookalike, nothing more. But Tepetha proves to him that it is the same bracelet as hers and tells him that they must find out how and why they attacked here. She tells him about the idea she is doing to get out of the city by tracking the source of the electricity lines. Matthew is convinced by her words and helps in digging. In the church, Sarah draws the story that the voices are talking about to prove to him that she is not crazy. Bella finds her drawing a hole between the graves, and in it is a box that he has hidden himself for a very long time. He is sure that no one knows anything about it. They reconcile, and Bella is the same one Sarah drew, and it is impossible for her to know about him and Be'takor, and that it is a link between them and the world of spirits. In the colony house, one of the young men hears sound of a girl standing behind the window. He opens the curtain and finds a beautiful girl with lots of roses. She says that she loves roses very much and asks him to let her into the house. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get more new videos. See yous.
Air at a blinding pace, appearing only as a streak of light. Danny initially thinks he's training to control his powers, but Rana tells her it's his way of punishing himself, and we'll find out why soon. As for Roberto, it's revealed he's the son of the richest man in Brazil. His parents sent him to this institution for treatment after discovering he's a mutant, thinking mutation is something curable. They don't realize it's part of his genetic makeup. Later, when Dani sleeps, the institution monitors her physical condition for any changes or signs of her powers manifesting. Indeed, while Sam and Roberto are in the laundry room talking about Sam's work in the mines with his father, a job he didn't like but was forced to do, the lights suddenly go out and Sam panics. At that moment, Dani is asleep, and the institution's computer registers a significant spike in her energy levels. She's dreaming of a nightmare about running through the forest, and in the laundry room alone, he feels something strange, something moving inside the washing machine. When he gets closer to see what's inside, suddenly he finds himself in a dark tunnel with a large number of workers digging. As soon as they see him, they stop. He walks through them until he reaches his father, who was digging into a wall, and blood comes out of it. His father says to Sam, "You're the reason for all of this. It's your fault." Suddenly, when Sam touches the washing machine, it carves into the wall, and blood comes out of it. His father repeats, "You're the reason for all of this. It's your fault." Suddenly, when Sam touches the washing machine, it explodes in his face. It shifts to the other side, and due to the intensity of the explosion, he crashes into the second washing machine, which is completely identical. At that moment, Danny wakes up from her sleep. Reyes had been observing her all along, wanting to figure out what her supernatural power was that appeared on the sensor device, but she hadn't moved from her place. The next day, the four of them were gathered, watching television and playing, when Danny came to sit with them. At that moment, a fight broke out between her and Ileana, who was always with her dinosaur doll, talking to it as it was her only friend. The fight escalates between the two, and they start hitting each other. Ileana provokes Danny to discover what her supernatural power is, but Danny punches her hard in the nose, causing her pain, and she transforms. Ileana's power turned out to be that her arm transforms into a robotic arm with a laser sword. She swings it at Danny, intending to kill her. Reyes arrives just in time, creating an energy shield around Danny to protect her. She leads both of them to solitary confinement as punishment for their fight. When Ileana is about to sleep, she talks to her stuffed dragon, telling it not to be afraid and that they will go to their special place where they feel safe. Suddenly, she imagines herself as a child again, and the smiling, creepy man appears to harm her, but she uses magical powers to transport herself to another dimension where he can't find her. At that time, Danny was asleep, dreaming the same nightmare as always. The computer in the monitoring room shows an increase in supernatural powers, indicating something abnormal. Reyes goes to Danny's room and finds her standing in the middle of it, with ash falling from the ceiling onto her, covering her in a type of blood. Reyes takes her hand and collects a sample of the blood to analyze and understand the danger they are facing with Danny. She tells Danny they need to discover her power to learn how to control it. Later, Danny joins her four friends, and they head to the attic, believing it to be the only place Reyes doesn't monitor them. They play truth or dare using a lie detector, each revealing a truth about themselves. When it's Danny's turn, she doesn't sit on the lie detector. Ileana asks her about the bear on her necklace, and Danny explains it was a gift from her father. She shares its story, saying that as a child, she was afraid of the dark and couldn't sleep in it no matter what. Her father told her a story about two bears inside everyone, one evil bear that feeds on fear. When a person is born, the evil bear is small and weak, but grows with us, feeding on our fear. Over time, it can harm us. Her father made her the small bear charm to remind her that no matter how scared she was of it, it was once nothing, so she could have the courage to face it. Ileana takes her turn and tells them she's there because she killed 18 people with her sword. No one believes her, making her angry. She tells them she's indeed a superhero among them. Later, Reyes gathers them for a group session. Sam is angry, asking when they will leave because he keeps having endless nightmares and wants to recover quickly. He accuses Reyes of hiding something from them, but no one knows what it is. At night, Ileana puts a sedative in Reyes's tea. Once Reyes falls asleep, they roam the building, celebrating and playing freely. Rana takes Danny and sneaks out through the ventilation shafts to watch the stars and the lightning striking the dome that protects the building. Danny is surprised that Rana can leave whenever she wants, but never ventures outside. Meanwhile, Roberto is alone, listening to a familiar song. When he follows the sound, he finds Ileana, but she suddenly disappears. In the monitoring room, it's revealed that Ileana was in her room the whole time, drawing on the walls. Suddenly, the ghost of his deceased fiancée appears, engulfed in flames. He panics, triggering alarms. Reyes wakes up and rushes to the monitoring room to locate the alarm's source. When she arrives, she finds Roberto engulfed in flames by the pool. Reyes pushes him into the pool to extinguish the fire. Later, Roberto argues with Reyes, wanting to call his family to get him out of the place, but she refuses. He accuses Ileana of trying to kill him, but Reyes assures him she was in her room the entire time. Reyes punishes Ileana with solitary confinement for drugging her tea. The next day, Reyes sedates Danny and injects her with a substance that makes her remember everything that happened on the night of the incident. However, the opposite happens. While trying to recall the events, Dani finds herself in Reyes's memories, seeing the institution that claims to treat them. It promises that those who leave will go to a better place. Meanwhile, Ilyana is in her room when the door opens on its own. She steps out to investigate and finds a drawing of the smiling man on her wall. She becomes frightened and realizes that Dani is the cause of all this. She transforms, her arm turning robotic, and takes Dani to the alternate dimension where she escapes her fears. While Dani is struggling, she imagines seeing the smiling man when Reyes injects her with a sedative, allowing her fears to take over. She loses control of her powers and escapes her reality. Reyes takes Ilyana back to her room to recover. When Dani checks on her later and gives her a toy sword, Ilyana explains about the alternate dimension she travels to every time she feels fear, and how the smiling man used to scare her because he enjoyed seeing her in pain. At that time, Reyes is in the monitoring room when she receives an email with new instructions to kill Dani because her powers are too dangerous and uncontrollable. Reyes begins to carry out the orders by taking Dani to another room, sedating her, and preparing to inject her with poison to kill her. At the nighttime moment, Liliana hears the song Her Chaos, and when she enters, she sees herself as a child being attacked by the smiling man monster. At that moment, her knowledge disappears, and Liliana is surprised because that memory had already been erased from her mind. Suddenly, the monster multiplies into 2, 3, and then a large number, attacking Liliana, Sam, and Roberto in the kitchen. When the doctors are washing up, they are startled by it behind Roberto, who quickly transforms and throws a fiery flame at the monster to kill it. At the moment when Dani loses consciousness, Rana is surprised by Prime in the vent. She attacks her all at once in her transformed state, stabbing her with claws until she inflicts severe injuries. But Rana manages to defend herself and sedates her to keep her away. Rana tries to wake Dani up without success, while Liliana and Sam are outside trying to escape the monster. Sam tells her she must be strong to attack the monsters in her imagination and find a way to defeat them. Before he finishes speaking, Liliana disappears into the void, or the other world she always escapes to. Sam has no choice but to use his incredible speed to attack and kill the monsters in his path. Meanwhile, Roberto is at the door, trying to use his fiery power to open it, but Sam tells him the shield on the doors won't let him pass. At that moment, Liliana reappears from the other world and eliminates all the monsters with her sword. When they enter Rana's office and see the files, they discover that Rana was preparing them for another program to turn them into mercenary assassins, not X-Men as they had thought. Dani regains consciousness and tells them the only way out of this place is to eliminate Rana to disable the energy field surrounding the area. When they confront Rana and reach her, she suddenly appears and traps each of them in an energy dome, draining them until they pass out. She tells them if they want to live, they must let her kill Dani because she invades their minds, sees their painful memories and fears, and turns them into reality. At that moment, Dani loses consciousness, and the evil bear appears, destroying the building and taking Rana, killing her. Rana tries to wake Dani up, but unfortunately, she can't. The evil bear chases her and Liliana, who transforms, revealing her superpowers, creating a portal to her imaginary world, and fighting the bear there. After a toy doll transforms into a small dinosaur and breathes fire on the bear, Liliana stabs it with her sword to kill it, but she can't. Sam rushes to help her, flying at maximum speed and breaking its teeth. Roberto also gains courage and joins the fight, using his fiery power to try to stop the bear, but to no avail. Finally, Rani wakes Dani up and tells her she is the only one who can defeat the monstrous bear. Dani was trapped in another world, but sees Sam and Rani calling her and guiding her back until she regains consciousness. She wakes up to find Rana fighting the bear in the real world, and the bear was about to kill her. Dani sees her father, who encourages her to face her fears, because no matter how big the bear is, she is bigger. Dani confronts the bear, telling it that she will control it now, not the other way around. She approaches it, saying everything will be fine and it's time to sleep. She removes her necklace and calms it. after ensuring her friends are safe, they leave the building, which was completely destroyed after the energy field preventing their escape disappeared. Danny tells them that within each of us, there are two bears locked in an eternal battle for dominance over our souls. One represents goodness, love, and all the beautiful things we can imagine, while the other represents evil, harm, and destruction to ourselves and those around us. And so, today's story concludes. Don't forget to support us with likes, shares, subscribing to the channel, and activating the notification bell to stay updated with all